for the opportunity, both you and Jason. I continue to commend you for the great work you're doing through the chamber for the businesses. But a little about me is that I am a wealth management advisor and a certified financial planner. I work primarily with small business owners, young professionals, and retirees on creating comprehensive wealth management strategies. And in this particular workshop we're going to have today, we are going to talk about the retirement part of exiting your business. So I'm going to talk a little bit about studies and research that we found from working through business owners and giving business owners some additional resources to think about how they exit their business.
Perfect. We're so excited. Please go ahead and share the good news that you have regarding business and planning for retirement.
All right, thank you. First and foremost, I want to make sure that I take a pause to acknowledge the times that we're living in. I've been in the financial services business now for 15 years, and 12 of those years has been as a financial advisor. And if you go backwards and do the math, that means the first year I became an advisor was in 2008, in the middle of the worst economic crisis since we've seen since the Depression. And now we're somewhat back in very similar waters. So when we talk about exiting a business, I know these are very sensitive times for business owners, as I am also a business owner. But when we think about exiting your business, I want us to think about it from the standpoint of every financial decision that a business owner make, they should consider how that impacts their ability to exit their business on the terms that they find ideal. As you can see, this is chapter 2. Chapter 2 is around retirement planning, but the other chapters are business estate planning and business succession planning that maybe we can talk about in a little bit future days. So first and foremost, as we go through the presentation, as Jasmine said, if there's anything that anybody wants to ask an additional question on, we can do that. And bear with me one second. I am having some technical difficulties to where my screen is not advancing.
We all understand technology has, there we go. We got it up and running. Once again, I see new people have joined in. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, please go ahead and comment in the chat box, just so I know that we're all on the same page. Please go to your chat box and put a 1 in the chat box so I know that you know where the chat box is and so that we can stay engaged. Thank you, Scott. I see your 1. I appreciate it. Kelly, hey,
Okay.
hi, Steve. Michael, Michelle, got it. All right, Maurice, are we all set?
I'm good to go.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure. So I won't cover everything that's in the presentation because of the sake of time, but I won't leave you hanging without resources. So first thing I have to do is give my normal disclosure that this is for informational purposes, not meant to be legal or tax advice. But let's talk about what we are finding through the years of working with business owners. We're finding that about 80% of business owners have their wealth tied directly in their business. And what that means is that many business owners are planning on their retirement being funded from the sale of their business. What we're also finding is that a lot of those retirees and business owners who plan to retire have less than $500,000 in their retirement accounts. When we further talk about business owners and we ask them, well, how confident are you that you're actually going to be able to retire the way you want? Interesting enough, we get the message back that many of them are very confident. And if you look at our bar graph here, Many of these business owners have different plans for the future. Some expect their business to fund a certain portion of their retirement. But what we saw on the previous slide is that though they intend to have different sources of income for retirement, they're still relying heavily on the sale of their business. So the two questions that every business owner must ask themselves is one, are my retirement accounts sufficient enough? And am I confident the business will always be able to provide for me? Here's a couple more staggering statistics. About 80% of the people that we polled were saving less than $25,000 annually for retirement. Two-thirds of those people also who were within 20 years of retirement had less than $100,000 saved. And 55% of those found that their business was worth less than $500,000. So the question that we ask is if we were to find ourselves in that category, is $600,000 enough to fully fund a retirement? Now, $600,000 is still a substantial amount of money, but if you consider that as business owners, many times you may not have pensions, and that 600,000 is coming largely from the sale of a business that's not liquid, the answer is likely going to be no. So when the business is your retirement plan, there's three main things that you really have to consider. One, will you receive the full value of that business at the time of sale? That's also contingent on the point that you actually know what your business is worth. If you're somebody who's going to transition your business to the next generation, are your children or nieces and nephews going to be willing to pay you a salary until the day you die, even if your role within the business diminishes? And lastly, if you're going to sell to new owners, and part of that buyout is an installment agreement where they're buying you out of the business over so many years, are they going to be able to successfully run that business so that you actually get everything you're supposed to get? And yes, there are legal documents you put in place to cover these installment agreements, but they're only as good as the financial resources backing them. So the question that comes up is, if you can't say for certain these things are covered, you may have to delay retirement, you may have to come back into the business to rescue it, or lastly, accept a lower standard of living. So the main thing that we want to talk about is, though your business may be your largest asset, your business cannot and should not, be the only asset. It should not only be your business as your retirement plan. So there's three things that every business owner must look at when they're making decisions. One, you want to focus on maximizing the value today of your business. From a business standpoint, financially, you want to make sure you position yourself not to be solely reliant on the business. And then lastly, have a personal plan for the next stage of your life. As you see at the top, it says, are you a lifestyle business owner or a value accelerator? A lifestyle business owner looks at the business only from the standpoint of, here's how much income it provides me to support my lifestyle now. The value accelerator reviews that business as, here is the way that I'm going to scale this business so that I can live the way that I want. So there are 5 main golden rules to retirement planning. And we're going to talk briefly about each one of those in the time I have. One is having a clear picture of what life looks like in retirement. You've worked in this business 10, 20, 30 years. What are you going to do now? Also understanding what is the income replacement value of your business. And I'll explain that a bit more. Understanding how your exit strategy will impact your retirement, not just could, but will, and knowing the vehicles outside of your business to save, and lastly, documenting your roles and responsibilities. So let's talk about having a clear picture of what life looks like in retirement. Through our studies, only about 22% of the business owners said that they actually plan to retire in the next 5 years. And you can see that 19% can't ever imagining retiring. But the interesting thing is that when polled further, this same group of people said that if they were financially able to, they would actually retire right now. So the breakdown is not necessarily that people never want to transition out, is that a lot of times we don't think about as business owners how we're going to transition out. In one way or another, we all are going to transition out. One may be because of health reasons, another, and ideally, is because we're just ready to go. So, first part is when you're thinking about your business, is understanding, okay, how does that value tie to the business? One of the most important things that every business owner needs to do at some point, and actually earlier than later, is getting a formal business valuation. There's not a clear cut way to do that because every business is structured differently. And what you may find is that there are certain intangible assets in that business, your human capital, right? If you have key employees, customer capital, partly from revenues and also loyalty to your business. You have structural capital that looks at certain things like patents or any niche that maybe you can solve that another business can't. And then your social capital as well is what is your reputation in the community. So when we talk about determining the income replacement value of your business, is not just how much money do I make now, but it's also looking at it from a business owner, all the value that that business brings. Many times in your business, the business may be paying for health insurance, it may be paying for retirement planning, it may be paying for a company car. All those things have to be considered. So what you may find is that though you may be able to sell your business for a certain amount of dollars, it may not be enough to totally replace the true income value that your business brings. So as you begin to think about, well, how do I determine that income replacement value? It can only be done through individual financial planning to start thinking about when can I afford to retire? What is my expected lifestyle? What is the rate of return that I need to hit my goals? So that when we run into a scenario like this year where the market is having a rough year, how does that impact your future? So when you think about also how will you exit your business, if you're transitioning to the next generation, we've already talked about, well, are they going to want to continue to pay you? If you're selling to your employees, not only do they have the money to buy the business, but will they be as skilled as entrepreneurs as they were employees? And then lastly, when you think about selling to a third party, are you patient enough to find the right person? Typically, if you are going to sell to another person, you want to start planning that 5 years ahead. But the question we all must ask ourselves, have we not even determined how we're going to exit our business? So also from the standpoint of your retirement savings vehicles, do you want to offer a plan to all your employees? And are you going to want that plan to be able to be deducted as a business expense? So this is kind of where I will land the plane here, is just simply saying, the main thing of this is to understand that you must save outside of your business, no matter what business you're in. And knowing the available savings vehicles, this is not an all-inclusive list, but these are a couple of things that every business owner needs to consider. A SEP IRA is ideally for people who do not have many employees or they're a solo entrepreneur. This gives you the ability to save 25% of your net income or up to $57,000, whichever is less, as the business owner. Then you have simple IRAs, which are plans for businesses with less than 100 employees that gives the employer and the employee the ability to put money in there. The contribution levels on that are a bit lower, but it still gives you the ability to save. Your simple 401k is going to mirror a simple IRA. The difference is that you still have the ability to take a loan out on a simple 401k that you do not have on a simple IRA. And then your solo 401k is for solo entrepreneurs or people who have a business with them and their spouses. You can make contributions as both the employer and employee in that plan. You can also take out loans against the plan. And the cool thing for this plan, when it fits right, is for people who earn large amounts of money. In a solo 401k, you can still do a Roth contribution, which means you can save on an after-tax basis and still plan for tax-free money, even if you have high income. And then lastly, your defined benefit plan is pension plans. Believe it or not, those things can still be established. So I just want to stop here for the sake of time and simply say this. As you think about how you're going to exit your business, there are several things that you must consider how you're going to exit. And lastly, the main thing is that you want to start planning now. So I will stop here and just say, here's my information. If you have employees, we actually have a pretty cool calculator that will help you identify what is the value that that employee brings to the business. But I just say this, I've been a Southwood Chamber member for 5 years now, and it's been a tremendous honor and blessing to know many of you, to have actually done business with some of you. And if there's anything that I can do, please reach out. My day-to-day has not changed. I am deemed an essential business, so I'm still up every morning like I would be, except for I'm not going to my office. So thank you again, Jason and Jasmine, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Maurice. Maurice, can you tell us before we transition into the next subject, just a little bit about what the climate is, what the work that you're doing every day, and also just explaining to us any type of COVID-specific information that you would tell to someone who doesn't know where to start during this crisis?
Sure. The climate is just uncertainty and fear, like it was in 2008 again. And what I find is that where a lot of uncertainty comes in is that though even people who have started things and are saving and investing, they're still unsure about what that's going to lead to in the long run. And this is where written financial plans come into place to show you specifically what will happen. So I wouldn't necessarily say I have anything COVID specific because historically we have seen markets that have been down and down further than where we are now. It's the speed of COVID and the social media aspect that is pushing a lot of the fear along because we're in a 24-hour news cycle. But no matter what, you need to have a plan to deal with all circumstances.
Thank you for that feedback. We have a question from the audience. The question is, you may be covering this at some point, but if you're looking to start a business and it's a time that is later in life, what are some of the basic things you need to do at the onset so you can be in the best position to eventually exit the business?
So one of the main things of when you are starting a business is even when you're starting it up is start to think about how you ideally want to exit the business. So if you're going to start a business that, let's say, is going to be a generational family business, then you want to start to consider first and foremost how you should be saving outside of the business now because there may not be a cash sale there. You also want to think about from the standpoint of how your business is going to be structured, that if you're going to bring in an employee and you want that employee to maybe take the business over later, is there certain incentives and plans you can put in place now to actually help that employee buy you out later on? The big thing is coming in immediately and thinking about how and when you want to ideally exit, and then building the plan off that.
Perfect. Thank you for this feedback, Maurice. We appreciate it. If you have not already, if you need Maurice's information, please feel free to take a picture. And we have a thank you for that response from the audience too. We're going to transition right now into going into discussing resources that are available at Oakland County. We have Mr. Greg Doyle. Greg, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Hi, Greg. Can you hear me?
I certainly can. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad to have you here. We are going to, of course, talk about all of the wonderful resources that are available at Oakland County for small businesses, particularly during this time. It is especially crucial for us to give as much value and as much information as possible. Before we dive into that, please share with us who you are and what you do and introduce yourself.
Great. Well, I'm glad to be here and thank the Chamber for inviting me. So let me give you a little background. My name is Greg Doyle, and I'm responsible for the Oakland County One-Stop Shop Business Center. Basically, that's all of the entrepreneurial and small business services. So we have a team of consultants and support folks that help us do a number of things in support of small businesses. And I know we've got a slide coming up where I can get into a little more detail on that. But just to let you know that the services are available to any Oakland County-based company. And certainly if you're based in Southfield, you are a part of Oakland County. And just kind of a shout out to Southfield, we are really focused on trying to help Southfield during this time, because it really is an important piece of the overall Oakland County business environment. I think Southfield is #1 or #2 as far as the number of small businesses. So we have a tremendous amount of entrepreneurs and small businesses in Southfield. We want to do what we can to assist and help. So you know, you've got a slide that you all can see. And I can give you a little background on these are the things that we normally do. And then I want to talk a little bit of, I think would be interesting for you is like, what are we doing right now? So let's go through the things we do under a normal environment. Is we do an awful lot of training and workshops. Typically, these are free. They happen for the most part here in Waterford. But we have taken a number of our workshops on the road. We do at least one workshop a quarter in Southfield at the Southfield Michigan Works location. Typically a start a business or a marketing research workshop is done there. But you know, in a year, we'll put probably last numbers I remember, we had over 600 people that went through our workshops. So we have a tremendous amount of workshops and people that participate in them to really get some of the basic information people need when they're starting a business or when they're trying to successfully operate a business. But if we look at, you know, our staff, I mentioned we have a staff of consultants. Most of their time is really spent in working one-on-one with people just like you, who may have questions about how do I ramp my business up. Maybe you're facing some difficulty and we're trying to help you through that. And so in any given time, we would typically have a portfolio of around 70 companies that the team is working with actively. Some of those companies, you know, maybe 1 or 2 counseling sessions, and others we've known for years and continue to work with. So we always tell people, hey, we'll put as much energy in it as you put into it. So we really value our clients and take our work very seriously. The folks here are interested in really trying to make a difference in helping our business owners. The last bullet point on that slide is about the tools and templates. And, you know, I always like to mention those because you really have a great resource in Oakland County, in that we have a lot of really high-end tools available that we use on your behalf. So for instance, you know, a company may come to us with an interest in starting up something like a restaurant or what have you. Some of the tools that we use in doing an analysis of the market, doing things like traffic counts, being able to map where competition is, being able to locate where your ideal customer is. All of these things are things that we work with our clients on, and we use some pretty high-end tools to be able to do that. So, you know, those are tools that the big guys have, and unfortunately, our little companies don't have access to it unless they work through us. So we have a lot of data that we typically provide our clients in helping them make decisions about their business and kind of the next steps that they need to take. So, you know, I guess I would just wrap that up with, you know, take advantage of that, and particularly when things start to calm down here a little bit. There's a number of different things that you can take advantage of and should. And so, you know, I think it's probably appropriate to talk about, like, what are we doing now? If that's the work that we normally do, what are we doing now? So if we're kind of the point for small businesses and entrepreneurs in the county, you can imagine we're getting a lot of phone calls and emails in regards to questions, mostly all wrapped around loans and grants and what's available and what might I qualify for, what do I need to do, all of those types of questions. And I'll get into that a little bit in just a second. So one of our first lines of defense as we go through this massive increase in phone calls and text and emails is we've updated our web page to become more of a business resource page. And we're constantly looking to add to that page to do things like we'll be putting some more frequently asked questions up on the page. And that page is located at Advantage Oakland. And when you get to the AdvantageOakland.com page, you just click on Business Relief and Resources. There will be a button there, actually a couple. So on that page, really, we've got a tremendous number of links to organizations that really are keeping up with the latest and greatest on different things. So you see at the bottom of this slide, link to SBA. They're going to have the latest on what's going on with the SBA. We also have links to other organizations that are keeping up with, like, what's going on with the latest legislation and so on. So what we're trying to do on that page is give you a series of links to some of the information that we feel that you need, and is, as we all know, is changing fairly rapidly. So that is a good page. We're going to be updating that page with more basic frequently asked questions and so on. So right now, the majority of clients that we're talking to about two things. One is the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and the other is the Paycheck Protection Program. And I have to believe that all of you have heard of that before, but those two loans can be used in combination, and those are where we see our clients getting the most relief, and probably what will turn out to be the fastest, we hope, relief with the current climate. So the Paycheck Protection Program, you know, started last Friday. My understanding is that the SBA has about 500,000 of those applications submitted already. Though that's in the hands of SBA, is my understanding. To put that in focus, SBA normally processes around 60,000 applications a year. So you can see there's a tremendous amount of work ahead for the SBA. The SBA disaster loan goes up to $2 million. One of the interesting things about that SBA economic disaster loan is that an advance on that loan of up to $10,000 is available for those applying to that loan. We have been told that that is forgivable. So whether you get the loan or not, you will not have to pay that $10,000 back. Again, all of these things are moving and things are changing kind of rapidly. So you want to be checking your information. You really want to be working with anyone that has any influence over your bills, your savings, and so on. So someone like Maurice is a great resource for you. If you do have a loan out, if you've got a business loan out, you should immediately contact your lender. Let them know that that you're aware of it. Whether you can, if you cannot pay that loan, they're not going to reach out to you. They're going to wait for you to reach out to them. If you have a landlord, you need to reach out to them immediately as well. So those are kind of like the basic things that we are working with our clients on a regular basis. We're trying to get people to that Paycheck Protection Program processing. We've got enough P's in that, of course, right? Paycheck Protection Program to get people into that as soon as possible. Knowing though that our banks, some of the banks are struggling with processing that, but better to try and get in sooner than wait. And then I would say a couple things to wrap it up. One is the CARE Act is not the last piece of legislation that we're going to see, I'm sure. I understand that the Treasury went through some kind of stimulus package yesterday. I don't know what's included in that at this point. So to help you navigate through this, we've got our resource page. You also have the opportunity to set up an appointment with one of our consultants. And the way that you would do that is you go to that same AdvantageOakland.com website, and then you hit on the business tab, and then you hit on the business counseling tab, and then you basically get in the queue. We are, I think, being very efficient. We're getting back to people really quickly, and we hope we're able to maintain that in this environment. So I hope that information was helpful for you all. Again, want to make sure that you all know that we're here to help you. We're trying to do the best we can in the environment in providing some information on our website, and also offering you an opportunity to talk with one of our consultants. So thank you so much for having me today. Maurice, you did a great job. I appreciate. I have to follow you though, and I don't have as good of a radio voice as you do. But again, we really value the opportunity to be here with Southfield Chamber. We look forward to communicating frequently with you to be able to help out your members who are these brave and really valued entrepreneurs and business owners here in Oakland County.
Thank you so much, Greg. We appreciate all the great information that you gave. And I just want to pause before we transition into the next subject. I know we had some people recently who logged in, and I also know that we have to have some questions for Oakland County. So I want to take just a couple minutes. If you have questions, please feel free to place those questions in the chat box below. And we are wanting this to be an interactive experience. making sure that you get that intimate and personal connection to be able to ask the questions that you really wanted to know, or the things that you've seen or maybe heard on the radio and you were just a bit confused. Let's bring some clarity to this COVID conversation. And I see the comments. Thank you all for placing your comments, and thank you for giving us the feedback that you really enjoyed the two presentations. Does anyone have any questions for Maurice or for Greg at this time? Please feel free to share.
I think we did such a good job. There must not be questions.
That's exactly it. I have a comment. Great information, Greg. I'll share your information with my network. Thank you for that comment.
Please do. Yep. Please do that.
When you said, Greg, I had a question in regards to the feedback for the PPP. We're getting lots of questions at the Southfield Chamber just about that program in general, about the turnaround time, even people feeling that that's an automatic protection across the board. And can you kind of just talk to us about the reality of what your understanding of that program is, or just where we could go to get more concrete information? We're getting inundated with a lot of information about PPP, but even myself going through all of the information, I was a bit confused in regards to having to stay employed with that employer, even hearing the little nuances about enrolling for that program and people still being still having the fear that they may be fired or let go and not having those protections. What are your thoughts, or what are the questions that you're getting from people regarding that specific program?
Wow, you're confused? That's surprising.
I am. I'm trying to keep up. It's so much information. I'm just like you all, taking it all in.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, here we are in this, Maurice mentioned it a couple of times, and, just can't say it enough. That we've never had anything even close to this. It's just extraordinary. And so, everybody is trying to respond quickly, and the scope of this is just massive. And so you put those two things together, and it's going to be confusing for a while. So as it relates to the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, this is really aimed at trying to help business owners keep their employees on their payroll. That's the main thing. And so if you're a small business and maybe you've got one or two or three, who knows how many employees, you really ought to be looking at this as a way to protect your talent, because this will be over. And the question is then what if you have to hire all over from scratch? You can imagine what that's going to be like. So that being said, I believe it was Wells Fargo has already processed like $10 billion worth of Paycheck Protection Program loans. Meaning, when I say process, meaning they've gone and done what they need to do, and then they've passed that on to, I believe, the SBA. So when the business owner actually sees that money, that allows them to then start paying their employees regular payroll again. I'd like to think is going to be a short time, but realistically, I mentioned those numbers earlier. They're used to processing about 60,000 loans a year. They got 500,000 last week, or this week, can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's just huge, right? So all of that being said, the federal government, in my opinion, is the only place that has the financial ability to affect the large numbers that we're talking about here. Certainly the county doesn't have resources that are going to be significant enough, and I don't think the state does. If you look at Oakland County alone, we have 44,666 businesses that employ 50 or fewer people. Hopefully some people, I bet you some people's jaws dropped at that. So think of that scope, it's just tremendous. Go back to, we're really trying to get our clients, as painful as it might be, trying to get into the queue with these 2 loans. We're trying our best to get, to educate our clients that they need to apply for these loans. We'll try to answer the questions that we can. Of course, things change. The individual banking institutions are going to ask for some different information as you apply for these loans and so on. But this, as far as I can see, is where, your average small business is going to get the relief that they need. So
Thank you for that breakdown. Put a 1 in the comment box, in the chat box, if you have a clear understanding after hearing Greg's presentation of the programs available, where to go to access that information, and a bit clear information regarding the PPP program. We want to make sure that we're all engaged and we're all on the same page. So if you have any other questions for Greg, please feel free to put those in the comment box, chat box, and we will get to them throughout this presentation. Thank you, Steve. I see your 1. Thank you, Toy. Mrs. Toy Banks, I see. Yes, great info. Thank you for your feedback. We have another part of this presentation. It's our last subject for this call. We are going to be transitioning over.
Jasmine?
Yes.
Jasmine, I'm sorry. Before you finish up, I just wanted to make a testimonial for Greg and his team. I've been involved as far as in the one-stop program, being a township official at White Lake Township. And Greg has made, and his team has made great presentations when we talk about the one-stop for all the different cities and townships. And the people that they pull together to be able to let us, as far as a planning commission or for White Lake, understanding of what we need to do to be able to be more effective in the township offices are great. And he also pulls together a lot of the other different disciplines from all the different townships. So we usually have, and we go through a very good training program, which is orchestrated by Greg and his team. So thank you, Greg, for your efforts.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate that feedback. I see a raised hand. Wendy?
Yes. I have a business that is still running. I run a birth center in Southfield, and one challenge that I've been having, and I did, even though we still have the income coming in, we are getting busier because people are flooding to us from the hospital. They don't want to give birth at the hospital all of a sudden. And we've already delivered 3 babies for people that we didn't even have a couple of weeks ago. So the problem I'm having is that I need more people to work now because we're dealing with quarantines as well within our own practice. So we have more people coming in and fewer workers. And I can't afford to pay people more than what they're getting for unemployment right now, which is a challenge. Has anybody else come across that? Like, I've been so busy just dealing with the crisis that I didn't actually realize what was happening with that.
So this is one of the crazy things that's happening, you know. What I would suggest is, you know, we in the business center work hand in hand with our workforce development organization, who, you know, may be able to help in this situation. You have a, you know, type of business that I think stands a chance at attracting people that are going to be in it for more than just the money as well, though. But I think in this environment, you need to be able to cast your search net wider to find those people that are more interested in helping people right now than they are in staying home and maybe getting a couple dollars more an hour. They're out there, but I think you need a wide, you know, you need a wider audience to talk to. And I think workforce development could help you with that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy, we have some resources as well that I can send over to you. I'll inbox you privately in regards to people that are working in your field that may be able to assist you with having additional labor assistance as well. So I hope that helps.
Can't get better than that. That sounds like a great help.
Thank you. All right, we're going to transition into, oh, I'm sorry, we have another question. Brittany. Brittany says, I just joined the call. When will decisions be made, and will businesses only open, Brittany, I think you're asking, will businesses only open for 2 years be eligible for assistance? Are businesses that have only been open for 2 years eligible for assistance? Greg, can you take that question?
Yeah, I would recommend contacting our group and talking to one of our consultants, because they're really expert at this. But I believe that, your 2 years, you'd be eligible for this. Meaning the disaster loan as well as the PPP, to really focus in on that and understand the nuances. It would be good for you to talk to one of our consultants who can really guide you in what your best option is.
Thank you, Greg. Brittany, I know you just joined the call, but this call is being recorded, and we can get you a copy of this information too, so you can recapture what you missed. As well as, I would encourage anyone to take a picture of Greg's information here that's been outlined, so that we can get you further connected. We're going to
So the phone number at the top is coming into one of our lines. We are not. Most of our people are at home like everyone else. So what will happen is you'll have to leave a message, and then we will call you back from that. But we are getting to people same day. The number at the bottom is for the SBA, just to make that clear.
Yes, thank you for that clarification, Greg. We're going to transition into our next topic in regards to the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce, what we're doing to navigate COVID, and some resources that are further available to you and our community members. I'd like to introduce Jason Blanks, our president of the Southfield Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Jason.
Hi, everyone. How are you today? It is an honor to be able to have you here with us. I would like to thank Maurice Miller and Greg Doyle for your wonderful insight. It has shed a lot of light into a lot of great areas that business owners like myself are trying to navigate during this COVID concern. The Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce has some additional resources that are available to our members. I just want to give a very brief overview for those that are not members of the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce, just so that you guys can just get a very clear understanding of what we try to offer our members as well as our community, as we are in some very weird times here. Our purpose is to be a catalyst, creating connections that strengthen and drive business. That is done through our accountability, our relationship building. Our chamber is bar none or above board or top shelf when it comes to relationship building. Not only are we working with our business partners, as well as governmental officials, as well as we even have a town hall getting ready to take place where we have Brenda Lawrence, we have the LG, the Lieutenant Governor, and former Lieutenant Governor, and that's going to be taking place in a couple weeks. So we are trying to leverage as many resources and relationships as possible to make sure that we are supporting your business throughout this COVID concern. We have a very robust and well-positioned board, where we have a very diverse board from different entities. Most of the individuals that are part of our board are in the C-suite and or CEO position within the community. And they offer a lot of resources and support, not only to the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce, but to businesses. And these connections help drive the vision and the value and the mission of the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce. So by connecting with the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce, you are at that point connecting to some of the big industry leaders: Lawrence Tech University, Beaumont Hospital, Ascension Providence, the city of Southfield. So just to name a few. So just know that we are not just a small team trying to navigate this. We are a team of many with a lot of resources behind us, trying to make sure that we support the Southfield area, not just Southfield, but the Southfield area, and making sure that resources are flowing, information is flowing, and making sure that we can continue to support our community. There are several ways that you as a business owner or a business leader can get involved with the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce. Signing up for our monthly newsletter, using and updating our info hub, attending our bi-weekly webinars. So we have webinars that are on Mondays and Fridays. We also have a Wednesday wellness series where one of our members, her name is Toy Banks, has been hosting for the last several weeks. All of our events are very informative, and we try to make sure that we're giving you guys the best product so that you guys can, once again, learn and be adaptive in this in this great, in this time of need. You can also join a virtual referral group. We offer member discounts on our website. You can also, we have opportunities to sign up as an expert speaker on our webinar series. Of course, there's an application process, but if you are a leader or expert in your field, please feel free to reach out to us. I will have my email up so that you guys can reach out to us. You can also apply for a virtual ambassador program. Steve Anderson is one of our ambassadors with the Southfield Area Chamber, and it is a great opportunity to not only connect to other businesses in the community, but connect to those resources that are part of the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce. So I've broken down our programs into two separate columns or categories. So prior to the COVID-19 and after COVID-19 passes, we've had in-person services that were available and will soon be available after the passing of COVID-19 in the near future. We have our Wake Up to Southfield, we have our Taste of Southfield, we have our State of the City Address, which is one of our largest events, which has 400 attendees. We have our golf outing, we have our chamber committees, we have our awards receptions. Grand openings and ceremonies are always available to our members. We have referral groups, and we have our joint mixers. What we are currently doing is we have switched to a virtual educational model, which is being used to augment and support a lot of the businesses while we are working from home. So this is an immediate opportunity for those that are working from home to be able to still be tied into the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce, so that there is a value add as you guys are navigating some of the ins and outs of this situation. So we have a virtual business development series. We have a virtual membership 101, which is today's event, where we will have speakers as well as industry experts speaking and providing information. We have a virtual hospitality group that is currently meeting every week on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. If you guys would like to be a part of that group, feel free to email me. We have a Southfield Young Professionals group. We also have a conference call for our ambassadors. We have a virtual webinar, health and human services roundtable, as well as a virtual nonprofit roundtable. Those roundtables and peer groups are just an opportunity for like businesses to be in the same room and share ideas on how to place infrastructure and build your industry businesses. There are also opportunities for business visibility by being a part of the chamber. We have a social media assessment and assistance. We have a bi-weekly newsletter, which goes out to roughly 3,500 individuals, community contacts. We have website assessment and or linkages. We have access to our online directory. We have new and renewing member lists that are available to our chamber members. We have member-to-member discounts, which is on our Southfield Area Chamber website. So you just go to www.southfieldchamber.com. We also have job internships and postings. So for the young lady that was looking to post her, that may need to reach out to find qualified talent, we have opportunities to post on our website so that you can capture hopefully good talent to help support what you're doing. There are company materials, press release postings. Our biggest thing is we have an e-news and dedicated e-blast that hits roughly 5,000 business contacts. And our social media posting is on 3 separate platforms that has about 3,500 community contacts. And both of those contacts are non-repeating. So signing up for the Southfield Area Chamber is easy. You would simply just go to the southfieldareachamber.com. As soon as you go there, on the main page, you would click the Join tab. You would select a membership tier that is best for you and your business. We also have payment plans that are available. So even though there is sometimes an upfront cost, we can also offer a broken out package just to make things a little bit more palatable and easy for you to cover. And then please feel free to stick around or email us directly if there are any inquiries or questions.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you for your time.
I just want to thank you all for joining us. We are getting ready to wrap within the next 5 minutes. If you have any questions in those 5 minutes, please feel free to use the chat box. I'm going to turn it over to Steve, who is one of our ambassadors. Steve, could you tell us in 2 minutes what your experience has been like being an ambassador?
Well, yes, I've been an ambassador a little over probably a year and a half now. And it's been a rewarding experience, both from my standpoint and then also for the people that you can help. So my role is to be able to help and be a transition for those new businesses that are coming into the chamber. And I sit down and review what your participation would be if you were involved in different activities. It's also to encourage you to maximize all the benefits that the chamber has to offer. Majority of the time, my discussion with that business is not what I do as working for a right-sized facility, but how the chamber can be able to help you. Because a lot of the times, businesses join chambers just from the standpoint of like, here's a checkbox. But that's when I go back to them and say, hey, it's not a checkbox. It's something that you're investing, and you need to go ahead and make a commitment to be able to improve your business. And we as ambassadors in the Southfield Chamber want to bring that to your attention so that you can capitalize on it. So it's something that they can be able to do. So I enjoy it, especially from the standpoint when somebody says, hey, I didn't know the chamber could do this. It just puts a little smile on my face to say, hey, I'm glad you're taking advantage of all the things. Plus, it also I sit down and ask them, what are some of the things that the chamber can do for you? And then bring that back to Jason and the team and say, hey, ABC Company recommended that we do that. And a lot of the times it's those kind of ideas or things that come out, which makes and strengthens the chamber. So I encourage anyone that is a future member or current member and everything else, touch base with your ambassador and ask them, what can you do for me? Thank you for letting me have an opportunity to share that.
Sure. Thank you so much, Steve. We appreciate that. And I'm going to
Can I make a comment? This is
Sure.
Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, sorry, I got pulled away quick for an emergency.
You're okay.
Everything, but I'm going to give you something from my perspective as a business consultant. Now, if there was ever a time to join a chamber, it's now. Even in the best of circumstances, it's tough running your own business. It's isolating. And you look at where we are at right now, and there are a lot of business owners that are hurting, and they need to be connected. And all of you know at least one business owner that you could connect to a chamber. You have to get people connected in some way in this difficult environment where you're working out of your home, you're struggling with the business. Everybody's in that boat, but they don't realize we're all in this together until we're connected in some way. And this chamber is just the best place to do that, in my opinion. Please, I would challenge all of you, just go talk to some folks, get them involved, get them connected. You don't know how good you'll be doing for them. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Greg. We really appreciate not only your support, but your comment especially. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on at the Southfield Chamber of Commerce is building connections. It's very important to us to not only support the community for business-related connections and support, but also personal relationships and support during this COVID concern. One of the ways that we're showing up and serving the community is by serving on Wednesdays for Wellness Wednesdays. We have a webinar series every Wednesday starting at 8 o'clock. It is hosted by one of our members, Mrs. Toy Banks. Toy, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am. Yes, I
Thank
am. I'm
you,
here.
Toy.
Thank you.
Yes,
Well,
I just want you to share briefly, just for a few minutes, talk to us about what that series means for building stronger relationships, what your experience has been like, and just telling and sharing what you're able to provide and serve during that time.
well, I want to first say thank you, Jasmine, and thank you to all of the leaders at the Southfield Chamber. I agree with Greg. This is a great time to really connect with the Chamber because it's a community of people working towards the greatness for us all. And I've been a member since the end of 2019, and I am so thankful to be a member. And I tell everyone about the Chamber, and I wish I would have known more about it early on. Thanks to God that I met Jasmine, and she told me all about it, and it was one of the best decisions that me and a few other members, we made that decision, and it was a great connection. And I'm thankful even more so now during this COVID-19 that we became members even prior to, but it's still not too late. And so I encourage people to continue to become a member of the Chamber because it's a great community and a great source of support and information. This every Wednesday, the last 2 Wednesdays, we started a series. The series is called Make Your Marriage Great Again. Unfortunately, there was a statistic that came out right after the pandemic happened, a few weeks after, and they had a growing number, a 25% increase in domestic violence in relationships, marriage and dating relationships. They also saw an increase of divorces, which to me, a person who is a speaker and a coach on marriage and the success of marriage and relationships, that baffled me and it concerned me greatly. And I reached out to, I was actually already creating a program, and Jasmine called me and told me, hey, we need to help these relationships. And I was like, you know what? I have been in tears, really concerned about the success of families coming out of this COVID-19. And so Make Your Marriage Great Again is a series that we are helping married couples navigate through the issues that they are facing. What we realize is one of the core reasons for the increase of divorce and separation at this time, and even violence, is usually a couple when they live together, if they're dating or even if they're married, when they're living together and they go to work for 8 to 10 hours a day, that's with commute time. Going to work can be a sign of freedom from the problems that they are facing, freedom from the frustration and the aggravation. So they just go to work to get relief from it. And even on the weekend, when the weekend comes, they fill their lives up with birthday parties and weddings and all of that type of stuff, never dealing with the elephant in the room. Well, now because of COVID-19, there's elephants in the room, and the parents are at home and the children are at home. And so now they are forced to face these issues, and they are not doing well. And the problem with that is most people don't reach out for help. And sometimes one person in the relationship wants to reach out and another one don't. This is a great opportunity. This connection with the Chamber and with this message of make your marriage great again is a great connection for married couples to log on in the comforts of their home to find out solutions as it relates to blended family, as it relates to communication, as it relates to finances, as it relates to intimacy. We go all the way there. And I have special guests that come on with me who have great success stories in all of those areas as it relates to finance, communication, sexual intimacy, raising children in an environment like this. And so it's been extremely successful. And the people that usually when you're on a webinar, you are watching the numbers of people that are coming in. And when I tell you that they stay all the way to the end, they are communicating in the chat box. They are, we've had people this past Wednesday say, man, I'm at the edge of my seat. I wish I would have been a part of this last week. So it has been great. We believe that this free conference call will help to restore marriages and help them to navigate the problems that they are facing in their relationship. So I'm thankful to the Chamber for supporting us in this, because it's truly been a blessing to be able to give, but also to see the lives and the marriages and the families that are being saved and restored during this process. So I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Toy. We hope that this webinar has been informational for multiple aspects in regards to your financial, retirement and planning, to accessing resources that are available through Oakland County, and also to navigating ways that you can strengthen your personal relationships during this time. If you have any questions or concerns and you want to reach out to us or have any follow-ups for us, please use that email box and save this information that is being shared on the screen right now. You can email us certainly at info@southfieldchamber.com. And we thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody, and have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Great job, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.